This is especially for all you little ones out there who want Nanny to tell you a story. I really enjoyed the Ugly Duckling story. Did you? Our next story is one that you already know. It's about a little girl and a big bad wolf. Just to remind you, the story is a fairy tale, which means it's not real and it never happened. So please don't worry about the wolf, okay? It's not real and this is my story. I'm calling the story The Little Girl in the Red Cloak. In a faraway land lived a little girl who lived in a pretty cottage with a mummy and daddy nestled in a valley close to a forest. Everyone in the village called her Red Riding Hood because whenever she was out, she would wear a red hooded cape that her nanny had made for her birthday. Red Riding Hood loved the red cape and always wore it. When I talk about her, I will call her Red Riding Hood, but her real name was Lucia. Red Riding Hood was a happy, kind little girl who enjoyed helping others, especially her mummy, daddy and nanny. She would help her mummy to keep the cottage tidy and help with the baking. With her daddy, she would help by collecting wood from the forest, which he would sell in the village. In the garden she would pick flowers, make daisy chains for Nanny, feed the birds, and when she had time, would sit in the garden and read fairy stories. One morning, Red Riding Hood's mummy said, "You know, sweetheart, it's Nanny's birthday today, and seeing as she is a bit poorly, I thought you could help me make her a birthday cake, and you could take it over to her, and perhaps you could make her a card." "Oh, what a good idea!" exclaimed Red Riding Hood. "I will make her a beautiful card and pick some flowers to take over with the cake." At that, Red Riding Hood ran to her bedroom to collect things to make Nanny's card, while Mummy started on the cake. She then went off into the garden to collect daisies to make a daisy chain for Nanny, and to use some to decorate her card. Happy with her finished card and daisy chain, Red Riding Hood helped Mummy to decorate the cake. Mummy put the cake, together with the daisy chain and card, into a basket. "Right, Lucia," said Mummy, "give Nanny a big hug from me and Daddy and tell her I will be over tomorrow to make sure she is feeling better. Oh, and could you also give Daddy this sandwich for his lunch, as he is working quite near Nanny's cottage by the stream." "Okay, Mummy, I will," said Red Riding Hood. She kissed her mummy and made her way to Nanny's. Red Riding Hood made her way to where her daddy was chopping firewood and called to him, "Daddy, Daddy, I have brought you a sandwich that Mummy made for your lunch." "Oh, thank you, little one," replied her daddy. "And where are you going?" "I'm taking a cake and flowers to Nanny as it's her birthday today," said Red Riding Hood excitedly. "Oh, right," said Daddy. "Tell Nanny I will call in after I have finished my work and we can both walk home together." "All right, Daddy, see you later," said Red Riding Hood, and left Daddy busy chopping wood. On her way to Nanny's, Red Riding Hood spotted some mushrooms growing round a tree and thought her Nanny might like some. And as she bent down to pick some, a voice quite near said, "Well, hello there, little girl. What are you doing here on such a fine day?" Red Riding Hood looked up to see what looked like a kindly wolf smiling down at her. "Oh, well, you see, my Nanny's birthday today and I want to pick some flowers to cheer her up." "Cheer her up? Cheer her up? Surely she should feel happy on her birthday," said the wily old wolf. "Well," replied Red Riding Hood, "she is a bit poorly and she's staying in bed today. So, Mummy and me have made her a cake and I have made her a card. I think it will make her feel better." "What a thoughtful little girl you are," exclaimed the wolf. I think I will pop in on my way home to wish her a happy birthday. But you should stay and pick her some of those beautiful flowers over there." At that, the wolf rushed off. That sly old wolf had other ideas and rubbed his hungry belly. You see, he had a plan. He wasn't interested in Nanny. She was too old to eat. No, he wanted Red Riding Hood, a lovely, sweet feast. In no time at all, the wolf approached Nanny's door, tapped and waited. "Come in," said Nanny in a soft voice. The nasty wolf rushed in and pulled Nanny out of the bed. "Oh, what are you doing?" cried Nanny. "I don't have much, but you can take whatever you like, but please, please go away." "Go away? Go away?" exclaimed the wolf. "I don't want anything from you. But I am interested in a little girl who is not far from here." With that, the naughty wolf tied Nanny's hands together, put a gag across her mouth and bundled her into a cupboard. He looked around the room for something to disguise himself with and found a bonnet, an old long nightdress and a shawl. He managed to struggle into the nightdress and put the shawl around his shoulders. He found it a bit more difficult to hide his pointed ears in the bonnet. He climbed into Nanny's bed and pulled the covers right up to his chin and waited. He didn't have long to wait before there was a tap at the door. Wolf, disguising his voice, said, "Who's there?" "Oh, it's only me, Nanny, Little Red Riding Hood." "Come in, my dear," said the wolf. Red Riding Hood came into the room and up to the bed. "Happy birthday, Nanny. Mummy and me have made you a cake. I have picked you some beautiful flowers and made you a card. And I will just make you a nice cup of tea to have with your cake." "Well, thank you, dear girl. How kind you are," replied the naughty wolf. "You're welcome," said Red Riding Hood, and went into the kitchen to prepare the treat for Nanny. She placed a tray on the counter. On the tray, she put a slice of birthday cake in one of Nanny's best plates, filled a vase with water and arranged the flowers inside. Then opened up the card and stood it on the tray so that Nanny could see it. Carefully she carried the tray to Nanny and placed it on the bed in front of her. It was just then that Red Riding Hood really looked at what she thought was her Nanny and said, "Dear Nanny, you really don't look very well. In fact, Nanny, what big eyes you have." The sly old wolf's eyes twinkled and replied, "All the better to see you with, my dear." Red Riding Hood was most confused, as under the bonnet seemed to be some hair that poked out where Nanny's ears would be, and questioned, "But Nanny, what big ears you have?" The wolf chuckled to himself and replied, "All the better to hear you with, my dear." At this, Red Riding Hood felt very uncomfortable with her Nanny, looked closely at her and said, "Nanny, what a strange nose you have." "All the better to smell you with, my dear," said the sly old wolf, and took a longing sniff towards Red Riding Hood. And a big smile appeared on his face, which exposed his sharp teeth. Red Riding Hood stepped back from the bed and put her hands up to her mouth, saying, But, Nanny, what big teeth you have." "All the better to eat you with, my dear," said the wolf. Red Riding Hood screamed as Wolf scrambled to get out of Nanny's bed, but tripped over the nightgown. At the same time, the door to the cottage burst open, and in came Red Riding Hood's daddy, carrying the axe he had used for chopping wood. Looked at the wolf and said, "Do you want me to use this axe?" "Oh, no," replied the wolf. "Please don't hurt me." "I will let you go on one condition," explained Red Riding Hood's daddy, "and that you leave this forest and never came back here again. If you do, I will use this axe on you." At that, the wolf left the cottage as quick as he could, ran through the forest, and was never seen again. Meanwhile, back in the cottage, Red Riding Hood and her daddy found Nanny tied up in the cupboard and released her. Nanny was so happy to see them, and they all hugged each other. They laughed at the silly old wolf while eating cake and drinking tea together. Nanny said the very best birthday present was knowing that her family was safe and happy. What a tale they had to tell Mummy when they got home of the big bad wolf. Join me next time for another story with Nanny. If you like Nanny's stories, please click like, and to make sure you don't miss any future Nanny's stories, press subscribe and don't forget the notification bell. Till next time, be good.